The modernization of Brazil's armed forces is often understood in terms of armored vehicles, new weapon systems, or indigenous missile development. But the introduction of the UH-60M marks a deeper transformation in how the Brazilian army is capable of projecting power, moving forces, and sustaining operations across a vast continental territory. For decades, Brazil's ground operations were built primarily around terrestrial movement. Roads, riverine transport, and light aircraft supported mobility, but these were inherently limited by geography. Brazil is not a European or Middle Eastern state with dense infrastructure and short distances. It is an immense landmass carved by jungle, wetlands, mountains, and sparsely populated frontiers. In this context, the arrival of the UH-60M is more than a procurement. It is the central instrument of a strategic shift from a heavy ground-bound force to a vertically mobile one. The UH-60M differs dramatically from older rotary wing platforms in the Brazilian inventory. With upgraded avionics, digital cockpit systems, improved lift capacity, and longer endurance, it is engineered for sustained tactical mobility. The previous generation, like the UH-60L and Cougar, could still accomplish basic transport tasks, but the UH-60M brings reliability and efficiency that directly expand operational tempo. A platoon of troops can be inserted dozens of kilometers beyond logistics corridors and sustained by aerial resupply. Medevac can occur swiftly even from deep jungle positions. Reconnaissance, deployment, troop rotation, and emergency reaction can all be executed without the bottleneck of terrain. This is crucial because Brazil's primary strategic challenges are not conventional mechanized warfare or large-scale armored engagements. They are border infiltration, illegal deforestation, narco-trafficking networks, mineral exploitation, and asymmetric threats in complex terrain. In the Amazon, movement by land is often either impossible or predictably channelized along the few available roads. A ground patrol might take days to traverse terrain that a UH-60M covers in less than an hour. Suddenly, the state can appear anywhere. The military becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability is a form of deterrence. As the UH-60M enters service, it is not operating in isolation. It forms part of a broader re-architecture of the Brazilian Army's force design. On the ground, the Guarani 6x6 armored vehicle represents Brazil's benchmark for modern troop transport and mechanized infantry integration. With the UT-30BR2 remote-controlled weapon system, Guarani carriers can deliver infantry with overwatch fire, providing localized dominance upon insertion. Meanwhile, the Cascavel NG modernization program revitalizes the Army's armored reconnaissance capability. Seen in combination, the UH-60M lifts a force into a theater, the Guarani secures it, and vehicles like the Cascavel NG probe and extend its reach. This synergy is not accidental, it is doctrinal. This doctrine resembles the American model of air assault warfare, light infantry, rapidly deployed, supported by mobility aviation, and reinforced by armored elements where terrain allows. Yet Brazil is not simply copying the United States. The Brazilian variant is shaped by its geography. Unlike in the Middle East, where rotary aviation is used largely for troop transport between accessible bases, in Brazil these aircraft become lifelines bridging otherwise inaccessible terrain. They enable not just tactical insertions, but campaign-level mobility. A battalion could be repositioned from Mato Grosso to Amazonas in less than 24 hours, an impossibility by ground. What emerges is a Brazilian concept of continental mobility, where the Army is able to shift combat-effective mass across a country the size of a hemisphere. One might ask why Brazil chose the UH-60M rather than Russian or Chinese alternatives. The answer reveals an important strategic alignment. The UH-60M is not merely a piece of hardware, it is a gateway into a broader technological ecosystem. The training pipelines, maintenance cycles, replacement parts networks, interoperability with Western systems, and connection to American-Japanese defense cooperation all help Brazil gradually standardize along a Western-aligned technological base. Brazil thereby avoids dependence on Chinese spare part chains or Russian logistical cycles, and instead ties itself into a global support network with high reliability and transparent governance. It is a signal of Brazil's intention. It is looking outward and forward, anchoring itself among technologically mature military partners. At the same time, the Brazilian army is not simply buying capability, it is building it. The establishment of Endefort as a state-run defense development entity signals a parallel direction. Brazil aims eventually to manufacture, support, and innovate within its own defense industry. The UH-60M may be foreign, but part of its integration is a learning process. The operational experiences gleaned from flying these aircraft will inform future domestic aviation programs, and the broader industrial ecosystem of Brazil gains maturity through exposure to world-class military engineering standards. When one looks ahead to the year 2030 or 2035, the long-term implications become clearer. Brazil will likely maintain the largest and most capable helicopter-borne transport and mobility fleet in South America. It will possess a ground force that can respond to threats with unprecedented speed. In a regional crisis, Brazil will not be a static actor. It will be able to project stabilizing force across borders, conduct peacekeeping operations, or lead multinational missions. Rather than being a reactive state responding slowly to unfolding events, Brazil becomes a proactive state shaping the security environment of the continent. There is also a psychological and cultural element. For decades, many Brazilians saw their armed forces as underfunded, grounded in older equipment, and operating in a reactive posture. The UH-60M changes perception. Civilians, analysts, and international partners see the Brazilian Army operating world-class aviation platforms, engaging with advanced partners, and deploying forces rapidly with professionalism. Instead of being a follower in global military innovation, Brazil is increasingly a participant. Ultimately, the story of the UH-60M in Brazil is not about a helicopter. It is about the transformation of a land force into a modern, flexible, distributed, air-mobile system capable of responding to security demands across the fifth largest country on Earth. It represents the emergence of a Brazil that is beginning to assume the responsibilities and posture of a continental power. The path ahead will involve refinement, scaling, and operational integration, but the trajectory is unmistakable. The Brazilian Army is moving toward the future, and the rest of the world is beginning to recognize it. If the people of Brazil look at their armed forces today, they should feel a renewed confidence. These helicopters symbolize a new era of capability and ambition, one where Brazil is equipped not just to defend, but to lead.